Hey guys, I'm the Dragon's Beard, and I'm back with another Raid Shadow Legends video. And today we're going to be talking about a brand new clan boss team. This one is going to be called the Batman Salad Eater. So it's very similar to the Bateater composition that became popular around 6 months ago, but with a few tweaks that are going to let us squeeze a little bit more damage out of the composition. The main thing that we're changing here is that in the Bateater composition, normally you would put Painkeeper in there in order to reduce the cooldowns of the Maneater. But what we're going to be doing is using Mashald in order to give the entire team a huge speed boost and allow the Maneaters to still cycle back around to their Unkillable cooldowns without having the reduced cooldown from Painkeeper. So this clan boss team in particular was super exciting for me to put together on my own account because I was actually one of the creators of this composition. In the Deadwood Jedi Discord back in November or so, I was talking with Optilink and Bobo about how we could potentially take Maneaters, running them at a 5-2 ratio, and then drop the Painkeeper out and achieve the speeds needed to stay in sync. And we had two problems. Number one, the speeds are super high. The Maneaters that I'm using run at 287 and 288 speed. And at the time, I didn't even have gear on my account that was capable of reaching those speeds. But then the other part was that the old calculator that we had on their website did not reflect how Seeker's extra turns worked. So you could plug everything in and it would look like everything was in sync, but then when you went into the game, the speeds didn't work out. And in the new version of the calculator that he's going to be coming out with hopefully next week, what you're going to see is extra turns show in the calculator. So when Seeker and Mashald are doing their thing, using their A2 and then getting the follow-up turn right afterwards, that is reflected properly. And this tool is honestly the only reason why we're able to make this work. I want to give a huge shout out to Optilink. After we had this tabled on the back burner for 3 months or so, he came up with the speeds that were actually going to make this fall in line. And then over the last couple days, Hades and I, and Optilink as well, have been fooling around with the delays to make sure that this works on all the different affinities as well as all the different difficulties. And this is the first clan boss team I've seen that works on Ultra Nightmare, Nightmare, Brutal, and Hard. Just like Bateater, it's very versatile. You don't have to change any speeds. You don't have to change any gear around. The only thing that needs to be adjusted in order for it to work on a different difficulty is the setup, and it's not even very long of a setup. Most of these are on full auto by turn 2. We just have to play around with how long Seeker and Mashald wait to do their speed buffs. So for the setup, what I'm showing here is Ultra Nightmare, and by turn 2, fully auto. All we're doing here is two things. We're delaying the Maneaters so that their Unkillables go up at the right time. We want to make sure that right before the clan boss takes their turn, that these Maneaters are alternating every 5th turn. And then the other thing that we're doing, specifically with Mashald, is delaying his A2 just for 2 turns. And what we want to make sure happens is that he doesn't take any double turns to cause Unkillable and block debuffs to fall off. And then once that's set up, it's going to keep us, even on Spirit, from getting the speed debuff, and that's important for making the rest of the tune stay tight. If I switch it over to Nightmare difficulty, we're going to see that it's almost the same setup, but this is that double turn that would cause us problems. So the only thing we're going to do on Nightmare is increase the Seeker delay to 2 turns as well. So you can see it takes that double turn away, it moves it over here. And then from turn 3, we are fully in a 2-to-1 sync. Maneaters running at 5-2, everybody else running at 2-to-1. Technically, Seeker and Mashald running at 3-to-1 if you want to count their extra turns. The neat part about this one is that compared to Bateater, your DPS can actually be a lot slower of a speed. I'm using Feign as my DPS because I don't have Venus or Draco, but in my old composition, I had to run Feign over 220 speed, and she's running at 191 here, which means you can pack a lot of damage into her build and go full offense because she's completely unkillable. I'm not using her anywhere else. It's the only place that she belongs in any of my teams. So I really don't care if she has 20,000 health as long as she puts up big numbers. Alright, so I'm in game and I'm going to show you my champions and my speeds. There is a little bit of a wiggle room and range on the speeds that you can use. Hades has a guide on this composition on his website. It kind of shows the different setups for different affinities as well as the different difficulties. But the speeds I'm running are kind of on the low end of those just because this is really pushing the limits of my account in order to even make this happen. So 1 Maneater, They're both super fast, but I keep them 1 speed apart. So this is my 287. This is my slow one. He's the one that I actually packed a little bit of damage into. I've got him almost maxed out on crit rate, trying to keep accuracy low and not have him land a decreased attack. In my comp, that doesn't really matter. Fane's going to land a decreased attack anyway, but if you're running someone like Draco or Venus, you want to keep an extra debuff slot open, so you want to keep that accuracy low. My other Maneater, tad faster, and you can see that I wasn't even really able to optimize the offense stats on this Maneater just because I was already borrowing a few pieces from my Arbiter to get to the Maneaters to be fast enough, and that's just what I had that would work out with those speeds. I'm using Lure of Steel. I would prefer to use Counterattack Masteries just to get Retribution. Leech is in this comp, so your champions are going to have a chance to get some health back, which means this is going to proc a lot once he's hitting hard enough. But I just don't have the gear to be able to reach the speeds that I needed to without Lure of Steel. So if you were building this and you have faster gear on your account, you would definitely want to put Counterattack Masteries. In fact, I'm going to end up rebuilding this on every one of my champions to give them the proper masteries just because I don't have Counterattack on any of them yet. For Seeker, out of my DPS champions, this is one of my weaker builds. There's a lot of different speeds that work. 227 is kind of right in the middle of the range, and I just try to pack as much crit damage, 100% crit rate, and attack into the build as I can. Now, I do use Seeker some other places, so I wanted a little bit of accuracy on that champion to be able to have it land its provoke. But again, it's not going to work on the clan boss anyway, so it really doesn't matter if this is the only place you're using him. Just pack as much damage stats in as you can. Next up, I'll show you my Mashald. He's one of the better builds. I have him in 2-speed sets, so perfect crit rate. I want to squeeze more crit damage in here, but this is just what I had. And then over 4k attack. He's going to put up a lot of damage, especially his A3 hits really hard, especially when you've got his crit rate buff and Seeker's increased attack. So those two buffs together in tandem is really going to be what lets us squeeze a lot of extra damage out. I don't have very much accuracy on him, but this is just what I had to get to the 239 speed. So in the last spot, you can use any DPS you want, and you're looking for two things. You're looking for poison, and you're looking for defense down and weaken. So I'm going to be using Fane. You could use Draco, you could use Venus, anybody that brings those buffs, or you could use just a pure poisoner. It depends on who you have. For me, she's going to be my best person for filling this role. I've got her 5k attack, maxed out on crit, as much crit damage as I can get, and then she does need accuracy in order to land her poisons. 192 speed here, a lot more conservative than some of the other builds. You got to think everybody else is 220 plus in this comp, and she's able to run super slow, so you can pack a lot more damage in there for her. She's still going at 2-to-1. She's still getting a lot of turns, but she doesn't need to be as fast. So I'm going to show you the setup live in game for Ultra Nightmare. It's going to be different based off of what difficulty you're on, but I would consult the Hell Hades website, and also once Deadwood Jedi's new calculator is released, you can plug in your exact speeds for your team and see what setups work for you. It usually amounts to a 2-turn delay on either Seeker or Mashald, or both. In my case, for Ultra Nightmare, I only have to delay Mashald. For Nightmare, both. This is against Magic, unfortunately. Fane is going to be weak hits, so I'm not going to get that decreased defense and weaken as often as I normally would. And then also weak hits from Mashald. But I've run this on Force and seen about 15 million higher than what I got on Magic. My account was doing between 48 and 50 million with my old Bateater team using Fane, and we're almost in 1 key range. I think as soon as I get those counterattack masteries and a few extra glyphs, then it's going to be in 1 key territory for my account. So the setup's not too bad, not very much different than Bateater. We're just going to wait on the Maneater Unkillable, so I'm going to show the A2s first. And then Mashald can't use his A2 yet, so we're going to do A3 just for more damage. Now my Seeker, since this is Ultra Nightmare, can do the double turn right away. No delay needed there. And then Fane, her normal rotation, whoever your damage dealer is, doesn't really have any special setup involved. But you can see we just got a weak hit on that decreased defense. So turn turn 1, first Maneater does not use Unkillable, and the second one does. Then it's just A1s. And then Fane's going to throw some poison up. Didn't get weak hits there. And then now we've got our 2-turn delay, so we can go ahead and use his speed boost back to the A3. And then we do not want this Maneater to use Unkillable yet. It's going to go up on his second turn. So we're going to do A2, and then at this point, it's going to run on auto just like it would in the calculator. So from here on, turn count 2, on auto, it's going to run the full 50 turn duration. So what I'm going to do now that it's in sync is go ahead and cut kind of towards the end of the fight. So we're coming up on the halfway point, turn count 23, right around 1 million damage per turn. Again, this is the worst affinity for my team with the double weak hits. But I did want to just call attention to the health bars. The clan boss is doing enough damage here that it's going to pretty much take us down to 1 HP every single AoE. But what I want you to see is with the leech that the team has a complete opportunity to heal to full because of how many attacks and War Master procs for each clan boss turn. So this is where that counterattack mastery, you really want to make sure that you have that if you can. If you can reach the speeds without Lore of Steel, definitely pick up that counterattack mastery, because you can see that hit right there just knock everybody down to 0. 25% of their HP is not going to be any problem at all in order to proc Retribution. Alright guys, there we have it, the Batman Salad Eater. Just under 1 million damage per turn. You can see that the magic affinity really hurt here. Mashald doing roughly half as much damage as what he would have. Fane missing a ton of poisons. And then everybody's damage is actually a lot lower just because the decreased defense and weaken is not up there for the War Master procs. I'm going to throw up a force run that I did with the same team. You can see Mashald 8 million damage higher, Fane 9 million damage higher, and then everybody else just in general picking up a little bit more. So definitely capable of scaling up to the 1 key range. On an advanced endgame account, you could see 100 billion definitely being a possibility. Like I mentioned, 107 is the record that I've seen from Hell Hades running the same team after I helped him build that last week. So last thing guys, as I've been talking to some of you in Discord this week, one of the questions I've got a ton about this composition since Hell Hades video came out is how can I do this without Mashald? And that's something that I'm going to be working on here in the near future. I already have comps built with Lydia and with High Khatun in place of Mashald. The speeds are a little bit higher just because they don't have that 2-turn cooldown going for them, but if you don't have Mashald, there's still a way that you can make this work and scale your damage up higher than what you would with Painkeeper. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the Batman Salad Eater. This is a brand new channel, and if you want to see some of the other content that I'm working on, as well as those crazy clan boss tunes, please don't forget to like and subscribe.